When talking about the horror movie G.O.A.T, there are a lot of obvious contenders. Last time I did this, I took one that gets its name thrown in the arena a lot, but today, well, there's hell to pay. And that means I'm talking about Clive Barker's Hellraiser from 1987. Based on the Hellbound Heart novella that Clive put out in 1986, it was only a year later that he got to direct and write the movie version. He hadn't been too happy with previous efforts, like Rawhead Rex, so him taking over direction was the only way he saw this happening. His first time directing, and we are talking about it being the greatest horror movie of all time? Well, let's take a look. Hellraiser is a well-known franchise, where the star is Pinhead, who is the leader of the Cenobites, from the Order of Gash. They come to those who open the puzzle box called the Lament Configuration. So what is it about Cenobites and puzzle boxes that have given us 10 movies? Even though after 3 of them most people disregard the series, there is something in almost every film that has kept it going. Kenneth from Kill the Cast once told me that when watching the franchise, you need to watch the flicks understanding that each film is the main character's personal hell. But enough about the sequels, as we are here to talk about the original, where there is no name for the lead Cenobite. On September 18th, 1987, the movie launched in the US with the tagline, "Demon to some, angel to others." On a budget of $1 million, it had an opening weekend of $4 million and went on to make 14. And that's pretty good for a horror movie in the late 80s that came to us in the US by a studio in the UK. It didn't blow away the box office, but it has risen to cult status and made an icon of Pinhead. Hell, even Stephen King called Clive Barker the future of horror. This movie broke the mold that had been set in horror, with slashers just killing teens all willy-nilly style. It's more the story of the lust of Julia, who, unsatisfied with her life, starts to lust after her husband's brother Frank, a man who is traveling the world to find the ultimate experience. Frank ends up finding it not too long after his affair with Julia. In the shape of a box, he invites the Cenobites, who show him pleasure and pain beyond anything known in this world. Once he escapes and is brought back to life in our world from his brother's blood, our movie starts with a bang. The special effects of Frank coming from the floorboards as his body rematerializes is one for the ages. His metamorphosis from a skinless monster to eventually taking his own brother's flesh is the best journey to watch. But the true driving force of this story is Julia, who is seducing men and bringing them back for Frank to kill and absorb. Julia is by far one of the most interesting characters to hit the screen in a long time, as she realizes she will do anything to feel alive like she did when Frank was inside of her. Kirsty, who is her stepdaughter, obviously doesn't like her and eventually catches her at this whole little scam they've got going on and learns about Frank, the puzzle box, and of course the Cenobites. The entire movie is a feast for the senses, and one that makes you wish you could use all 5 senses instead of just 2. So what are some of the things that keep it out of the GOAT talk? Well, with its low budget, some of the special effects in the later half of the movie suffer, as Clive and another guy had to animate it all themselves over a very drunk weekend. Clive himself admits that he lacked the know-how on many things like lenses. Plus, in the world of 80s slashers that was coming to an end and moving towards comedic horror, Hellraiser more of a serious, no-nonsense supernatural film that is more unique than anything coming out at the time. This can hurt a movie in its early run, but like many other cult films, it got its due on home video and is now praised as one of the greatest visions to come to celluloid. Hell, even my mom, who has no issue watching Cannibal Holocaust, refuses to watch Hellraiser. It's a mixture of religion, sexuality, violence, human nature, love, lust, and S&M designed demons that could only have come from one mind. Pinhead has become one of the best known characters in horror that everyone and their mother knows his name and face. This movie has been released several times, with the Arrow Scarlet Box being the definitive version along with Hellbound and Hell on Earth. So does Hellraiser make your top list? Do you consider it the GOAT? Has it shown you sights that make Jesus wept? If it's been a while since you've given this movie a rewatch, then please, for the love of Leviathan, watch this again and realize how special this movie is.